And what the yogic teachings say is that when we give ourselves, when we give generously, when we give our gifts to the divine, to the teacher in that particular way, the divine gives itself to us in a way that otherwise does not happen. Good morning, welcome, 1,000 welcomes to you all. And we are gathering to meditate on the topic, Offer Your Capacity. This is part of our series on full heart living. And so I have some teachings from the Upanishads, from the Bhagavad Gita, also some from the Hebrew Bible, and one from the Christian New Testament as well. And all of these teachings are inviting us to tune into this energy of fullness of heart that is within each of us. So the yogic teachings tell us that each of us is here as an expression of wholeness. That is perfect, this is perfect. Out of that perfection emanates this perfection. In the ocean of perfection surge the waves of perfection, yet that perfection is never lost. And that word, perfection, also means wholeness. So that is whole, this is whole. Each of us is wholeness in human form. You also could translate it as abundance. That is abundant, this is abundance. Each of us is abundance in human form. You also could translate it as fulfillment. So that overflowing love that just leaves no room for even words, no room for speech, no room for thought, no room for question. That just overflowing love, that is our eternal nature, and that's actually our nature in human form, in time and space. So we're greeting that wholeness, that energy of peace, that energy of fullness, that completeness, that overflowing love and purity within ourselves. And as we greet that, we energize that, and then we gain the ability to share that. We gain the ability to express that. So we're connecting with that energy as we listen to these teachings. So what I might do, I have a number of stories to share as well, which give me great joy and gratitude to share. But I might just read through some of the teachings from the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita, the Hebrew Bible, and the Christian New Testament. One of the teachings from the Vedas and the Upanishads is this: do not approach God or Guru empty-handed. Offer in the measure of your capacity. And so it's this recognition that each of us, as we approach the divine, as we approach the fullness of the love and the wisdom and the kindness and the spiritual support that shares through the teacher, that shares through the teachings, it's a natural recognition to offer your capacity, to offer what we have to share that is resonant with that wisdom, that unconditional love, that joy, that fullness, that peace, that abundance. In the Upanishads, the gifts that are described that students give to teachers are gold, silver, and cattle. And so if you just tune into what that represents, at the time the Upanishads are written, those are indicators of treasure, like treasure in time and space, that is offering recognition, that is offering respect, that what we receive through the teacher and the teachings is completely precious and priceless. And so at the time of the Upanishads, that gives expression to gifts of gold, gifts of silver, gifts of cattle. So it's sort of like asking, what's the most precious thing? What's the most precious support? What's the most precious thank you? What's the most precious gift that each of us could possibly offer the teacher and the teachings? That's what these teachings are inviting us to tune into. In the Bhagavad Gita, we're guided, whatever you offer, be it a fruit, leaf, flower, or water, give unconditionally with purity of heart. And so no matter what it is that we're giving, connecting with that energy of fruit, leaf, flower, water, and feel the preciousness of that, feel the life energy that is present in the fruit, the leaf, the flower, and the water. Feel the preciousness of your own purity of heart. If you are in contact with your own purity of heart, of course generosity arises. It is a natural expression of your own purity of heart. The Bhagavad Gita also says, be of service to the Guru by practicing karma yoga with a pure mind.
So I am Acharya Kashi, a spiritual teacher and a student of Swami Nityananda at Awake Yoga Meditation. If you love being inspired, uplifted, encouraged, and on fire for inner transformation, like, subscribe, and follow.
And so this energy of dedication, this energy of self-givingness that we offer in Karma Yoga is also just a natural responsiveness. That natural responsiveness pours forth in relation, in respect, in recognition, just a sort of like natural call and response to the energy of spiritual support that we receive through the teacher and through the teachings. In the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, we are guided that acts of giving are not to be relinquished, but should be performed. They are purifiers of the wise. And the teachings in the 18th chapter tell us, carry out giving again and again according to your capacity. Giving with devotion gives the vision of pure goodness. Even this ought to be performed, giving up attachment and desire for fruits. Let go of thinking you are the one who is doing the giving. And so it's sort of like when you are in contact with the purity of your being, you know in your heart that absolute love and peace are your own nature. And you are established in that absolute love and peace, which is one with the Supreme. And so you realize that the breath of your breath comes to you through the divine. The life of your life comes to you through the Supreme. All that you look upon is possible to look upon thanks to this divine energy looking through you. And so if you feel that directly, there's no distance between you and the divine. And so there is a natural awareness that everything that is in our experience is a gift of the divine. It comes to us directly from unconditional love and wisdom. Non-separateness is the reality, and so there will be just a natural givingness, a natural offering, knowing that we are not giving. We are not doing anything at all. The Lord of cosmic manifestation is what's giving through us. The Divine Mother, the source of all love, is what's giving through us. It's not coming from the human self. And so when you feel that as well, you feel there is unshakable strength. There is unwavering light. There is undiminishable courage that is present with and within each of us. All littleness just vanishes. Like if you've ever seen a candle and then the sun comes in and you can't see the flame of the candle because the sun is shining so bright, that's what happens. All self-consciousness about the smallness of our own light or the limitations that we feel in time and space or the questions or the doubts or the whatever it is that humans are possible of creating and feeling are conundrums, they're gone. Because we live in the house of the sun. Each of us always, continually, every cell of our body is the house of the sun, continually. And so this is back to the very basic yogic realization, which is that bring the light in. There's no darkness. The darkness just goes as if it had never been. It does not have separate, independent reality. Bring the light in. And what happens is all the shadows go. All the pain of the past is gone. And we are simply present in this flourishing, in this overflowing of love and joy and peace. And so these bring us to teachings this is from 2 Corinthians chapter 9. Each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or on compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And so it's the same teaching about consulting within your heart, recognizing all things come from the divine. They flow from the divine, through the divine, to the divine. It's all the divine. And so when you are in contact with that cheerfulness, with that joy, of course there's generosity. And it's pressure-free. It's just spontaneous, a natural, glad, spontaneous sharing of support. This brings us to, I shared with you a couple of weeks ago, in the yogic tradition, it was actually part of the practice to give the first 1/9 of one's income. So from the land of the yogis, that was the teaching. And I also shared these teachings from the Hebrew Bible This is from Leviticus chapter 27. So many people in Jewish traditions and in Christian traditions offer the first tenth of what comes to them to the divine. And so these are the scriptures that ground or serve as a foundation for that practice. A tenth of the produce of the land, whether grain or fruit, is the Lord's and is holy. And then in Proverbs chapter 3, honor the Lord with your wealth and the first fruits of all your crops. And so in this particular tradition with these teachings, a tithe is the 10%, that first fruits, the first 10%, or in the yogic tradition, the first 9%, if you so choose to give the first 9%. And then an offering is actually after you give the first tenth or the first ninth. An offering is what goes beyond that giving. A couple of teachings from Swami Nityananda, and then I'll share with you just some joyful celebrations of wonderful giving. Swami Nityananda says, "It is the will of God that you prosper in your soul, your work, and all your ways, and share your prosperity. Thus you will continue to prosper." He also says, abundance is spiritual substance. Things are symbols of abundance. So another way to put this is that prosperity comes from this energy of spiritual connectedness. And each of us is the energy of spiritual connectedness. So each of us is part of this dynamic flow of abundance continually. When we are in contact with that, we have clarity that the source of abundance is the supreme. Abundance doesn't come to us from the world. It comes from the supreme. And then it expresses in the world. And so we're just part of that natural circulation and flow. And then a final teaching from Swami Nityananda: love loves to manifest its abundance. Love knows nothing of lack. And so the energy of love is that superabundance, that joy, that spontaneity, that generosity. So I want to share with you a couple of stories. And these are stories about amazing yogis who also help us connect with this energy that deep within each of us is this energy of strength, this energy of courage, this energy that always is able to bring light within ourselves, whatever it is that we encounter. So if you joined late, I'll just midstream share again that we opened with a meditation on Durga. And in the yogic tradition, Durga is an aspect of the Divine Mother. She holds flowers in one hand, and she holds a sword in another hand. And so if you tune into that, flowers represent the beauty that is within each of us, that energy of love, that energy of joy, that energy of gladness, that energy that in all conditions and circumstances is able to connect with resourcefulness, refreshment, renewal, revivification. Swami Nityananda called this the energy of resurrection. He said a couple of times publicly, I resurrected myself. So whatever he encountered that didn't make him feel like he was resurrected, he acknowledged it and he resurrected himself, no matter what it was that he encountered. And so that was an invitation and a demonstration of what is possible for each of us. The other thing that Durga carries in the other hand is a sword. So different ways to meditate on that, but one of the things it represents in the yogic tradition is the sword of discernment, the ability to determine, is this real lastingly or not? And am I focusing on what is real lastingly? Because as I focus on what is real lastingly, that allows me to transform the unreal. That allows me to vanquish the shadows by bringing in the light. And so this is one of the great stories about Durga. And I'll also just note, the divine goes beyond gender. I'm talking about the divine as it expresses through some representations of the Divine Mother, but there are very, very many male yogis who adore the Divine Mother. Ramakrishna was one of them. He adored the Divine Mother. And one of the things Ramakrishna said was, if you're calling on the divine and you're not getting a response, try the Divine Mother. Because he said, you know how a human mother, no matter what they're doing, they always have one ear that's listening to the child. And the moment the child cries, the Divine Mother rushes and picks up the child and loves them and helps provide comfort, helps provide that encouragement, that unconditional love. And this is actually something that many, many male yogis have taught, is if you're calling on the male aspects of the divine and they're not answering, then please call upon the Divine Mother. And so there's a story about Durga which represents this exactly. So there are these two beings who represent the energy of chaos, the energy of disruption, the energy of negativity, and all the male warriors try to go after these two forces of disruption and chaos and negativity, and they fail. So the men have tried, didn't work. Forces of disruption, chaos, and negativity are still there. So then all the male gods try. They fail. And so then they say, what do we do? And they say, okay, Divine Mother, we call on you. And Durga takes form. And Durga vanquishes the forces of chaos and disruption and negativity. And so again, this represents that within each of us, if you have been feeling chaos or disruption or negativity, call upon that energy of the Divine Mother. It is within the heart of each of us always. And it allows us to be, I'm going to transition now and pay tribute to Srimati Shanti Mataji, who was a longtime supporter of Swami Shankarananda and of this particular community. And many people who encountered Srimati Shanti Mataji experienced the energy of peace, the energy of tranquility, the energy of calm. One of the ways that that particular energy is made visible in the yogic tradition is through the image of a swan. And so I invite you to tune into the yogic teachings about a swan. They say that a swan is able to shake its wings, and any drops of conflict or confusion or illusion just go. They leave. And the swan remains serene and beautiful and unruffled. The swan also, in the yogic traditions, represents the ability to leave pain behind and to move into the light. And so a swan has the ability to just fly into the light, to transcend the seeming appearance of clouds, and to connect with the light that is always present. And that also was an energy that was deeply represented by Srimati Shanti Mataji. Shanti, the last time that I saw her physically in person, it was after a Friday night meditation, and she was literally jumping for joy. She was talking about Julian of Norwich. Julian of Norwich is a woman mystic from England. I've shared her teachings before. One of the things that Julian of Norwich says is, all shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. Julian of Norwich lived through devastating plagues, devastating. And she saw with this vision of wholeness what was even deeper than the pain and the loss that humans are capable of experiencing. So a specific Julian of Norwich teaching that Shanti loved was this one, which I'm about to share. Between the soul and God, there is no between. So when you are in contact with the energy of your own soul, there is no doubt, because the energy of divine love, divine wisdom, and divine will fills you entirely and completely. There is no lack, there is no gap, there is no doubt, there is no pain, there is no fear. So anytime you have a question or experience doubt or pain or lack or limitation or fear, love yourself and go within to your own heart. Within the heart of each of us dwells absolute divine love, absolute divine wisdom, absolute divine will. And that divine love, that divine wisdom, that divine will allows us to be continually present, continually steady, continually dedicated, continually devoted, always moving forward on the spiritual path. And so in the teaching shared by Acharya Akashi, that's the seed that is planted deeply in fertile soil. The seed that expresses itself in time and space. because it is attuned with the energy of life itself. It is attuned with the quiet that is sometimes required to bring things forth in time and space. It is attuned with the steadiness, the faithfulness, the joy, the love, the absolute magic of nurturing what we adore day after day after day, year after year, unceasingly. And this was a teaching and a truth and a practice that Shanti made visible with her life. I'm also smiling because I'm remembering another yogi who had a very, very faithful student for many, many years, 40 years. Every day the student made food for her teacher. Every day for 40 years. Even when she went blind, she made food for her teacher. She arranged her kitchen, she arranged her day so that she could keep making food for her teacher. And so just to think about that generosity, that dedication, and now I'm going to spin it and tell the story from another angle. The other students who tasted this food said it didn't taste very good. They said it lacks flavor, there's no spice. And they asked the teacher, how can you eat this every day for 40 years? And the teacher said, the only thing that I taste is the devotion. The devotion is the most precious, most nourishing of all energy. And that is the only thing that I taste in that food. So the teacher ate the food every day for 40 years. And what the yogic teachings say is that when we give ourselves, when we give generously, when we give our gifts to the divine, to the teacher in that particular way, the divine gives itself to us in a way that otherwise does not happen. So the teacher faithfully continued eating that food, which the students said, this doesn't have any flavor, and did it every day for 40 years, tasting only the devotion. And so if you can just allow yourself to feel the nourishment that is present in that energy of devotion, allow yourself to feel the way when we are in contact with that energy of devotion, there are no questions, there are no doubts, there's no pain, there's no shadow, there's no separation, there's no time, there's no space, there's no question about, can my body do this or not do this? There is, this is the love of my being. This is the love of my life. This is the love of the eternal life after life after life. The yogic teachings say, as long as you have a body, give it in service of the teacher. Give it until your body breaks. And when your body breaks, keep serving the teacher in the non-physical. And in your next lifetime, continue serving the teacher as well. And the reason for that is that it reminds us, between the soul and God, there is no between. It reminds us, every experience we have ever had in time and space, we have been connected to absolute divine love. We have been supported by absolute divine wisdom. We have been guided and comforted. We have been nourished. We have been healed. We have been given joy. We have been given sustenance and support. And divine will is what upholds us. Divine love is what we rest upon. When all the things of the world pass away, what remains is that. The divine love that you are. It is with you always, and it can never leave you. The divine wisdom that you are, that is you. It can never go. The divine peace that you are is you. Nothing in time or space can separate you from that absolute peace, that absolute joy, that absolute love. Thank God, and God bless us all.